It's the Happy Families Podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
Today on the Happy Families Podcast, I'm having a chat with the Managing Director of Kit. Kit is a financial app for kids so that we can help them to understand what to do with their money and have the conversations that matter, especially in times like this. Yish Ko is the MD for Kit. Yish joins me right now. Hey, nice to be with you. Thanks for having a chat about a topic that's becoming increasingly challenging as inflation and cost of living and interest rates and rent and mortgage stress just keep on increasing.
Yes, becoming more important than ever. It's great to chat with you, Justin.
Kit, you've just done a brand new study. It was published maybe sort of 4, 5, 6 weeks ago now. Can you tell me what you found when it comes to kids, parents and money?
So we launched Kit in beta in May last year. And when we launched the app, we were really deliberate about firstly trying to get a baseline of what kids' financial capability in Australia looks like, and then try to understand what impact our app was then having on financial capability. So what we did was we interviewed thousands of Australian kids and their parents, some of whom didn't use the Kit app and some of whom did. And we asked them questions to test their level of financial capability. And if you don't know the term financial capability, most people have heard of financial literacy, which really focuses on like a knowledge of financial concepts and understanding, but financial capability is much more encompassing. It covers your attitudes and behaviors and the financial practices that kids are actually getting involved in, because that is much more strongly correlated with their future success when it comes to money behaviors as an adult. So we asked 4 questions, and the 4 things were, did you talk with your kid about money? And how many conversations did you have? Is your kid spending their own money, and are they applying any spending strategies when they're spending money? Does your kid have an opportunity to earn their own money, whether that's formal or informal, like doing chores and earning pocket money that way? And then finally, we also asked about whether the kid was setting and saving their own money. So we asked the population. The interesting thing that we found from just a baseline study of the Australian population was actually there's a decent proportion of Australian kids who are already doing all of these behaviours that would indicate they can be financially savvy in the future. So, for example, we found that 80% of parents and carers are talking to their children about money within the past 2 weeks, and on average, they're talking about 3 times a week. 64% of kids are applying spending strategies, and 87% of kids are buying things with their own money, not just their parents' money, but their own money. And 74% of children are saving their own money. So that's already something that we were really surprised about. When we then looked at the comparison between people who are using Kit or a digital service that is encouraging as a tool to help families do this, we found that there was a statistically significant increase in all of those behaviours, with the exception of children buying things with their own money. So we didn't have additional children who weren't buying things with their own money and then starting to buy things with their own money, but we saw that those kids were more likely to apply spending strategies than they were spending.
So what I'm hearing you say, Yish, is that in general, Australian parents are talking to their kids and having financial literacy conversations, which seems to be increasing the financial capability of Australian kids. What you're also finding is that when parents go to the effort with their children of downloading an app to help them to manage their financial situation, whether it's the Kit app or another one, they seem to be doing just a little bit better, just marginally better in all the stuff that indicates financial literacy and financial capability. Is that a fair summation?
Yes.
Great stuff.
And I think, what a digital service or an app that helps you do that is really about creating a system and a regular routine around it. Yeah. So, for example, in Kit, we've created a construct that's called Payday. And the idea around having a regular schedule around that is an opportunity to prompt that conversation between parents and kids around, what chores have you done this week, and, what have you earned, and had the opportunity to talk about other things that have been going on money related in the house.
So when you've done all this research, and given that you're working with parents and families all the time, what I'm curious to know is, clearly kids have got their own money. They're spending their own money on their own things, and they are applying spending strategies when they're making purchasing decisions, although that number's a little bit lower. I think you said 64% are really thinking thoughtfully about the strategies they want to approach. Here's my question. Are kids just blowing their money? Like, I mean, when I was a kid, I went down to the corner store, it all went on the lollies, or it went into the arcade games. Nowadays, with access to digital payments, we've got online gambling and betting, we've got online gaming generally. Are we seeing kids spend their money differently and in, I guess, less productive, less positive ways, or are they thoughtful about what they're spending their money on?
So I think that's really interesting, because that's one of the key behaviors that kids have to learn. It's that delayed gratification. It's how do you exercise and that muscle that says, I don't need to have everything now, but actually if I wait, I can get something even better. What we are seeing through the Kit app is that there are some children who do spend all their money, and you see the pocket money will come in and the pocket money will go out.
That was me.
But we actually do see, more than a significant portion have actually set a specific goal. So, they're actually saving for something and they've got money in there, and they don't have a balance that's zero. All of that comes down to, I think, the conversation that happens with the parent about the importance of that to get the kid setting it up. Yeah,
I was going to jump in and say exactly that. As a parent, I know that so that my kids don't do what I did, because I was just so bad. I was hopeless with my money as a kid. I just spent it on whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, until it was all gone, and then I waited until the next pay or the next pocket money. My sense is that parents are actually saying, well, you know what, we're going to do the that holiday that we've been planning. We're going to go camping. We're going to go on that trip. We're going to go to the Easter show next year. It's a long way away, but it costs a fortune. So whether it's the Ekka or the Easter show or whatever it is in the relevant capital city, parents are actually saying, let's put a budget together. Let's use the app. Let's use the digital tools that we have to do that. And I love that you've got the data, right? Like with the app, you're not looking at individual families. Oh, Justin Coulson's kids have saved this much money, but you've got this blanket data where you can say, wow, on average, here's what we're seeing. It must be fascinating to watch.
It's absolutely fascinating. And one of the things that surprised me looking at the data is that one of the most popular categories of things that kids are saving for is actually donating to charity.
Really?
Yes. And, that's obviously something that the parents are really encouraging them to do, so that when they do get their pocket money, that they set aside a little bit for others. And, particularly given the economic environment we're in right now, I think that's incredibly great work that Australian families are doing that.
Yeah, I reckon the Barefoot Investor, Scott Pape has a bit to do with that, with his with these different jars. Right now, inflation, interest rates and cost of living, it's all anyone's talked about for the last 12 months. And some data is showing that things are a little bit better. But for everyday families, we're not necessarily feeling better just because the data's saying it's getting better. Not really. So when do you reckon, or how do you reckon parents can integrate more of these kinds of conversations about money into their interactions with their kids? And how do they do it in a way that the kids aren't going, oh my goodness, we're going to lose the house, or oh no, what do we do because tomatoes are costing $400? Well, they're not obviously $400 a kilo, but it feels like it. How do you have that conversation with your kids where you're talking about the money challenges, but you're not stressing them out about money and making sure, some kids just internalize it and think that they're not allowed to eat anymore. Such a difficult time and such a difficult thing to go through.
Yeah, and I think, it's a very easy trap to fall into, thinking this is just too hard and it's better if I just ignore it and not talk about it at all, because I don't want to stress out my kids and I don't want to worry them.
Yeah.
But I would say it's even more important because, if things are changing in the household, it's important to give kids, I think, a sense of optimism around it, and not to kind of turn it into something that they feel is unmanageable, but give them a bit of agency around tomatoes are really expensive, can you help me come up with a recipe where this I don't know, pumpkins are cheap at the moment. Pumpkins are $1.50 a kilo at the supermarket.
Right.
Yeah, but save money, come up with a creative recipe, what can we do with pumpkins? So it's about reassuring them that you as a parent have got some things in place to help manage the situation. Yes, it might be a little bit tough, but try and get their help and make it fun and rewarding, even though you yourself might not be feeling that it's a very fun or rewarding time.
I love that. I'm in Queensland, and you mentioned pumpkins, and I've just got to put a shout out to Flo Bjelke-Petersen's pumpkin scones. that might be a generational joke.
One.
Yeah. I'm also thinking, so we did something just recently, a couple of months ago with one of our kids for her birthday. She wanted to do a bake sale and it was a huge amount of work, but she actually made a fair bit of money. She really wanted to do the bake sale because she wanted to do some baking, but she wanted cash for her birthday. And we just set up a little stall outside our house and all the neighbours came past and stopped and bought cupcakes and melting moments and that sort of stuff. She walked away with like $200 from a morning of bake sale, and that was profit after she paid us back for the flour and the chocolate and all the ingredients.
That's brilliant.
I guess what I'm saying is there are creative ways that we can engage with our kids, have meaningful moments with them, but also teach them about how money works and, I don't know, I guess be a little bit entrepreneurial, have a little bit of fun with it. And even though most people out there are saying, yeah, this is really tough, we found that our neighbours were so enthusiastic about it that they were quite happy to part with $4 or $10 or whatever to buy those treats to take home. They thought it was great. And it was still so much cheaper than you get at the local supermarket.
That's brilliant. And that just ties, giving kids that sense of autonomy and agency, and how awesome would she have felt to walk away with $200?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Okay, that's my bragging out of the way. So, Yish, when we have this conversation and money stuff comes up, I guess what I'm always interested in is, can we find a take-home message? Is there something that we can offer to parents that helps them to step into conversations with their kids about money without stressing them, or helps them to teach their kids to be more financially literate and financially capable? What's your take-home message from this conversation and the research that you're doing and the incredible insight that you have into how kids are managing their money using the KIT app?
So I'll share maybe two things. So one is that, there's always been this taboo around money, and it's a nerve-wracking experience for a lot of adults because, if you don't yourself feel like I'm completely on top of it, I don't personally look at my budget every month, probably like once a year or something. I'm not actually personally very good at that, but you don't have to, be an investment wizard in order to be good at money. Yeah. What you can do is have a positive attitude about it and take positive steps to improve your financial capability. And having a positive attitude about money will rub off on your kids. Similarly, like, some people say, oh, I'm just never good at maths. And, if you try and tell your kid, oh, I wasn't good at maths, therefore you won't be good at maths, that's a furphy. With money, anybody can be good at money. You don't have to be a wizard, but you can always take positive steps. And there's no shame in, whatever you might have done in the past when it comes to money. That's one thing. And the second one is that those indicators, financial capability in the study that we did, there's other research out there that shows that the most important thing that you can do for kids and their financial capability is actually giving them autonomy and experience making their own decisions with money. So that means making the $20 mistake where they have blown all their pocket money on Pokemon cards and then they've missed out on the toy that they really wanted in a few weeks' time, because it's much better to make a $20 mistake than a $2,000 mistake. So for some parents, it's a little bit of you need to let go of a little bit of control and let your kids get that experience with that money so that they can learn about the benefits of saving, how to spend smartly.
I love this. I love it. heykit.com.au to find out more about the KIT Money app, heykit.com.au. Yish Koh is the Managing Director of KIT. Thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Justin.
The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rawlin from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. For more info, heykit.com.au about the money stuff, or to make your family happier, visit us at happyfamilies.com.au.